good tape joints. You turn it over to look at them, you can see how nice and gap-free they are. And that's part of the trick to it, is getting them glued together right. Now I'll do 3 joints here at a time, 3 of these glue joints at a time. I'll start at the top and I'll fold that over. And you want to put it on one piece of the wood. We put it on the piece of the wood that's apart from it. You don't fill the gap up. You don't put it here. You can see that piece looking at you. And just put the tip of the glue right up to it. And if you hold it like that in the light, you can see it touching the wood, hitting the wood. One side of the wood is all you're after. A little excess on there, but we'll take care of that. And there is a trick to it. You can see I haven't done it for a little while. Just hit that one piece of wood there. Don't fill the gap. It's just you want to kind of act fast, because that first glue joint is going to attach itself to that tape in about 2 minutes from when you started. And we're going to remember, when we turn this over, I want to put an X on that side with the tape on it. That will be the not so smooth side. Now we'll pull this up a little bit, put a little load on it, wipe this glue off. The excess glue is all we're doing. We don't settle in one place too long, because it will really stick that paper towel to that sheeting. That's not what you're after here. You're just trying to get the excess off. Now to let that dry, we're going to hold a little bit of tension on the joints. We're just loading the joints. You can use a paper towel or a Kleenex. Use either one. You'll see that glue gets hot real quick. You got that to kind of go off a little bit. If you got any extra glue on there before it completely hardens, you can take a piece of sandpaper and run down these joints, and that does a couple of things. Cut that extra CA off there, and where it's still wet down in the joint, it'll force sawdust down in it. Now if you got a gap at all, you can sand a little bit extra and fill that gap in with sawdust, and that CA will attach itself to it too. Okay. We're about to our 2-minute time span, so we want to keep moving here. Okay, the tape side. Put a couple of X's, preferably with a pin that works. Well, we can see it. Just one idea. You want to know what side it is? Come over here. Take that first joint apart that you glued. If you left a little bit, just keep going. Just go to the next one. Take that tape off. Get that tape off as quickly as you can, especially if it's tearing that tape up at all. The tape is a non-smooth side now. Where this is, we put an X on it because we want to know which side goes to the foam parts that are getting ready to sheet. Okay. We'll go ahead and take that off. As long as we didn't get any in the joint where our tape was, where our CA was, that's the main thing. Okay, that pretty well takes care of that. Now what we got is a nice clean piece of sheeting here. It's good on this side. This is the side we're interested in. It's sanded, all ready for you. It's nice and smooth when you glue it on. Now, what we'll do with a part here, let me get a part real quick. Here's one that's already sheeted, but you want to mark it. You want to leave yourself about a ½ inch and a ¼ inch on the end up here, and just take and mark this about a ½ inch away. Cut it off with a bandsaw or a table saw or whatever. Razor blade will work. Then you'll have all this area to do a turtleneck. Now, sometimes what I will do, instead of having this seam right down the middle, before I glue this together, or even after I glue it together, I'll put a straight edge up here, and I'll cut one of these in half and glue it over here. And what that does is put like I've done here, it'll put a wide piece of wood down the middle instead of the seam, and it makes it look just a little bit nicer. Doesn't matter. You're going to monocoat it anyway. We're selling these models as built in bones a lot of times. We like that wood to all flow together and look nice. So you can do it. You can extend that wood over and start at half and have that wide piece in the middle. Because it only takes 4 pieces, but if it takes 4 pieces with a solid and 2 halves and two other holes, why not make it look a little bit nicer? Same thing on that turtleneck. When you bend that around that turtleneck, it's nice to have that big wide piece of wood going down the middle. So if you want, you can cut this in half and put it on the other end and space it out a little bit different. On a turtleneck, after you have cut this in half, you're going to find that there's not quite enough on one end to fit the turtleneck. It's big and round, and it rolls quite a bit. So we'll eyeball where that thing is, and at the end, see, we've cut this off for our hatch. So at this end, we can go ahead and follow this line down and remove a wedge and glue it back up on the front, so we don't have to have any more wood than 4 pieces to do both pieces. You don't waste any wood that way. You don't add any extra weight that way. You want to use this on the hatch, the fin, the stab, the elevators, and the turtleneck. This sheeting, easy to make, quick to make, virtually seamless that way. So just go ahead and make all the sheeting you need. A lot of times, such as if you got a stabilizer that here's one I already made the sheeting for, got it on there. But if you're doing this stab, since the tapered airplane is like this, you might want all that grain running long ways rather than having it run across ways. On a stab elevator assembly like this, you basically cut this in half, 2 foot and 2 foot, and I just keep gluing pieces. Sometimes I'll make a 7 or 8 foot long piece of sheeting, and I'll lay it out on there. I'll go usually start like this, leading edge is straight, and I'll mark the tapers. Then I'll put my next piece like this. You want these trailing edges on these stabilizers very, very straight. That's the straightest cut you want. The rest of this you trim off. When you put these two together, you put a little extra epoxy past the foam, about 1/8 inch past the foam, and build an epoxy ridge up here. Makes them very, very strong trailing edges. So just lay them out. If you get them all pretty well roughed out, take the first one that you've traced around. Again, you've traced the three sides. This side, this side, and this side. And this one here, you want to cut it straight. Cut it within a ½ an inch all the way around, except for the trailing edge. And use it as a pattern. And start cutting them out with the bandsaw and using it as a pattern. Again, the sheeting's easy to make. Use a lot of it on these airplanes, especially when they've got foam control surfaces. We've already done the wings, so you don't have to worry about that big sheeting. So that's it. Sheeting is easy. I'll go on back to this another part of this tape, and we'll show you how to use our green contact cement. It's a water base that wicks out all the weight while we use it. Here's a little bit of where we sanded this thing, and this glue is stronger than the wood. In other words, the wood sands away, the foam sands away, but that glue stays there. It's a very, very durable product. It's hard to get it off. You want to be sure to keep it off your clothes and everything, because it will get on you. So we'll go back to sheeting those cosmetic surfaces. The flying surfaces, again, make sure you really get no joints opened up. You want good tight joints on this stuff. That way no epoxy will seep through, because that epoxy is very, very thin. So I'll go back and we'll do the sheeting.